Welcome everyone to the next of the official Comrades Marathon webinars. It is so good to be with you on this evening. Wherever you are in the world, welcome. We are super excited to have you, and we are talking the Comrades Marathon 2025 once again. And it's an absolute pleasure. And the excitement is building. If my math is correct, yesterday was 60 days to go, which makes today 59 days to go until race day. So please do let us know where you are joining us from in the comments, wherever you are watching this. If you're on YouTube or if you're on Facebook, let us know in the comments. I see a lot of people joining from all over the world, which is great. Zibu is joining us from Mpangeni in KwaZulu-Natal on the north coast of KZN. We've got Lee, who's joining us from Las Vegas in Nevada in the US. Welcome, Lee. Nice to have you with us this evening as well. Byron's in Glasgow in Scotland. Lydia's joining us from Pretoria in South Africa. So from all corners of the world, Lauren Nelson joining us from the Cayman Islands. Man, I love technology. This is so cool. Renata's joining us from Beaufort West in the Karoo of South Africa, one of the most beautiful parts of the world. We've got Chandra joining us from Los Altos, California. So it looks like everything is working exactly the way it should. If I could ask you before we jump into the formalities this evening to please share this live stream with whoever you are training for Comrades with. So if you're in a running club WhatsApp group, or if you've got a couple of mates that you're training with, please do just copy the link of this broadcast, share it with them now as well, so that they don't miss out on this valuable information that you are going to get this evening too. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you on to tonight's webinar, and just some formalities to get through to let you know what we are going to be talking about this evening and who we are going to be joined by on tonight's webinar. The coach, the official Comrades Marathon coach, Lindsay Parry, is with us. He's got a postgraduate degree in sports science. He's also known as the official Comrades Marathon coach and has led athletes to 4 different Olympic Games, and for the past 25 years has been coaching amateur and professional athletes to PRs and podiums in some of the world's most prestigious races. He's coached 2 winners of the Comrades Marathon and thousands of back-of-the-packers just like me and you as well. He's also a pretty decent runner in his own right, marathon PB of 2:45 and a Comrades best of 7:11. Coach, nice to have you with us this evening.
Thanks, Brad. I love it when we get into the meat of Comrades training. We are officially there, so looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, we've been holding people back for so long, and now it's time to let things go, and we'll be talking about that tonight in the peak training of the Comrades Marathon. Also joining us this evening is Nontutuko Masimane, who is on the Comrades Marathon board. He's also run 8 Comrades, 8-2 Oceans Ultras, the 8th taking place this last Saturday. Also an international marathon, a 100-miler trail finisher. As I said, member of the Comrades Marathon Association board, as well. She's the chairperson of the CSI and Charities Committee, which is very, very close to my heart, and a professional in her own right as well. I'm not even going to try and pronounce those things, Nontu. Those are big words for me, but just to know that you are highly qualified and very passionate about the Comrades Marathon. So excited to have you with us this evening as well. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Brad. Thank you, Lindsay, and everybody online. Excited to be with you today to have a good chat about our beloved Comrades Marathon, 59 days before the gun goes off.
I know. So exciting. So exciting. Also joining us tonight is Thabo Nkuna, who is a seasoned Comrades runner in his own right and an absolute racing snake. He's got a green number. He's got 17 finishes, going for his 18th one in 2025 and a personal best of 5:55. Joining us this evening. Thabo, welcome. We're going to be hearing from you a little bit later on tonight's webinar as well. Welcome. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you so much, Fred. I'm so excited to join you guys with just only 59 days to go. There's no turning back. Comrades is just around the corner.
Exactly. No time to blink just yet, because we are just about there. And for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Brad Nadalt. I'm the guy who lost a Backstreet Boy en route to running his very first Comrades. I ran my first one back in 2010. I clocked in at a pretty hefty 165 kgs. Since then, I've gone on to do 3 Comrades, 5 Ironmans. The good news is I'm not a 2:45 marathoner like Lindsay, or a 7:11 Comradeser for that matter. 4:17 and a 10:39 are my Comrades and marathon PBs, and going for my 4th this year. It's the first Comrades in 12 years. So super excited to be lining up with each and every one of you again this year as well. And along with Lindsay, I founded CoachParry.com. So that's who your panel is this evening. Lots of comments coming through on the chat as well within the comments. So if you do have any questions this evening, we love questions on these webinars. Please do pop them into the chat. We'll flag them and we'll answer as many of them as we humanly can in the time that we have together this evening. So keep them coming. I see lots of questions, lots of excitement. While you're at it in that comment, let us know how many Comrades you've run. If this is your first one, say I'm a novice. If it's your first down run this year, maybe you ran the up last year and you're going for your back-to-back, let us know that in the comments as well. Maybe you're going for green this year. You're on number 9 and you're going for number 10. Maybe you've going for your double. Maybe you've got 30. Or as Louis must say, maybe you're going for 50. I'm not sure if Louis is joining us this evening, but there are lots of Comrades medals around the world and lots of people running this year too. So let us know in the comments. We do really value your participation on these webinars. And I think to kick things off tonight, because we are in peak training for Comrades 2025, I think let's get to the coach right away, because I think there's lots of anxiousness about Comrades and what we shouldn't be doing. We've come out a big running weekend for those of you who are in Cape Town for the Two Oceans. It was a great weekend of running. I think there's a few sore bodies doing the rounds. I know I can speak for myself. I'm still broken after this weekend's Two Oceans. So there's going to be lots of questions about that, recovering out of it. But I think let me hand over the reins to the official Comrades Marathon coach, Lindsay Parry, and we will then take it from there and dig into some of the training stuff that he wants to talk about with you this evening.
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Brad, I think we need to redo your profile photo. We can see from your face tonight on camera that you are certainly a lot fitter than when we took those pictures. So yeah, that's if you ever needed a sign that you were in fact getting much fitter, it was seeing you side by side next to your photo. So well done, keep it up.
Thank you.
Right, so let's jump into the formality, and yeah, we've got 59 days to go. So that thunder has been stolen from me a few times tonight, but really, guys, that's we are inside 60 days to race day. So the time is now. I will touch a little bit on what if you have done Two Oceans. How do you do things slightly differently? But in 59 days' time, this is what we are running. We are going to go over the big 5. Changa, Bothas Hill, Cowie's Hill, 45th cutting. But the problem with Comrades is quite simply that there is very little flat running. So you don't really see it on this profile because it's all squished up. But really on the right-hand side of your screen, right down at the bottom in Durban, is pretty much the only time you're going to run flat. And by then you'll hopefully know that you're going to get a medal. So all these unnamed hills, Poly Shorts to 10 Mile Bridge. So that's a roughly 10 kilometers into the race to 16 Ks is just one big climb. And then there's some very gentle climbing all the way to Umlaas Road where you hit the highest points on the course. So that's only at around 23, 24 Ks before you hit the highest points of the course. You'll then go to the Harrison Not So Flats. And the good news is that on the down run, they tend to be down, but there are some lumps there. So there's really nothing flat about the Harrison Not So Flats. And then once you get to Hillcrest is when you really start to realize that the people in KZN are not very honest, because they will tell you at the top of Bothas Hill that it's downhill from here. And you literally get to the bottom of Bothas Hill and run about half a kilometer, and you're going uphill again at the Hillcrest Heartbreaker. After you go over there, there really is a lot of downhill running all the way through Kloof into Pinetown, down Fields Hill, over Cowie's Hill, and then you hit Westville, and it also you are told again that it's just downhill. And then just before the 14 Ks to go, you're going to run up another climb that just reminds you that the climbing is not done. And then when you get to 45th cutting and you finally want to believe with everything you've got, when people tell you that's it, that's the last climb, it's the big 5 are finished, you get to the Mayville off ramp and you've literally only run downhill for a K and a half, and that's when you realize you're going to struggle to find an honest person in Durban. And then, of course, with 5Ks to go, just because it isn't over yet, we have to climb another climb at Tollgate Bridge, and then you really are home. You're in single digits. You know you're going to make it. And yeah, the end really is in sight. And then, of course, never ever forget about Fields Hill. This is the defining feature of the down run. The up and the down run both have tons of climbing. The up run has 1,700 meters of climbing and 1,000 meters of descending. The down run, which we are running this year, has 1,700 meters of descending and just about 1,100 meters, just short of climbing. And that difference, that 600 meters, a great deal of that takes place on Fields Hill. There's a reasonable amount of it through Westville too, but Fields Hill is the graveyard of many a Comrades runner. So tap into our route profile, which I think is going to be the 7th of May, somewhere around there, 6th or 7th of May. That's a really important, because then we're going to really cover how to nurse yourself through that. So as always, these webinars are all about making sure that we get you to the start line. We want to make sure that you are one of the people running out of Pietermaritzburg towards Durban. And of course, we want you to finish the race. It's not just about starting, but we want you to get a medal. We want you to hang out with your mates, make new mates, and of course, take home a shiny medal. And if possible, we want you to do it smiling and enjoying yourself and not hating life too much. Okay. This stat, you've heard it so many times, but I have to keep saying it because it's literally the most important thing you will hear from me all year. And that is that 68% of runners who do not finish Comrades start the race injured. We are in peak training now. I'm going to close out the webinar just telling you what to do if you get hurt. But what is so important is that we get you to the start line and you are not one of those 68% who start the race injured. It's just critical. Okay. Where are we now? You heard it from Brad. It's the truth. This is peak training. Okay. So if you have run 2 oceans, then this week should be a recovery week. So most people will have run 2 oceans a little bit too hard. And just being on the side of the road, I was reminded again that 2 oceans is one of the toughest races in the world. Okay. We South Africans like them hard. And so even if you've run it fairly easily, the fact is that chappies, the up and the down, Constantia Neck, and then needing to run quite fast down the back end of Constantia Neck down from Kirstenbosch Top Gate, you do have to push yourself, particularly those that are trying to get under 7 hours. It is a tough cutoff. Okay. So if you were close but didn't quite make it, don't fear. It is a tougher cutoff than Comrades. I promise. 2 Oceans is a hard race. And so you should be recovering this week and then get back to normal training next week. If you haven't started doing strength training yet, it is not too late. You've got 59 days and you can use 50 of those. You're not going to do strength on every day, but in those 50 days, you can get in a good chunk of strength training. Okay, so in 50 days, if we work it out, divide that by 7, you've probably got 6 weeks, which means you've got 12 strength sessions that you can do. And Brad and I learned a new word, and that is that you, when you do strength training, need to do the minimum effective dose. Okay, so that doesn't mean you have to push yourself so hard doing strength training that you get stiff and sore the next day. Okay, it just has to be heavy enough. And for most of us, that means that for our legs, body weight is plenty of weight to do the strength exercises and get that effective minimum dose. So that's our buzzword for the next 50 days, guys. Do your strength training in the effective minimum dose. And now we need to shift our focus to the so-called Comrades long run. I'm going to touch on that just now, and that's going to differ considerably depending on whether you did do 2 oceans or not. Okay. So the question you need to be asking yourself, what is my goal? Okay, by now, you really should have a good idea of what it is that you are training for, and you should be on the right plan. Now, this is critical, even though I've covered these questions again a few times on these webinars, do it again because it's so important in ensuring that you do not start with an injury. Okay, if you are not on the right plan, if you are doing too many kilometers, if you're trying to ensure your finish by training one plan above or two plans above where you are hurtling towards an injury. Okay, you need to make sure that you're on the right plan. So if you have qualified for Comrades and you are slower than 4.5 hours, you should be on the finishers plan. If you are faster than 4.5 hours but slower than 4, you're on the bronze plan. If you are faster than 4 but slower than 3.5, you are on Robert Machali, a sub 10-hour Comrades. And if you're faster than 3.5 but slower than 3, you are training for a bull run. If you're under 3 hours, you can train for a silver or Isabel Roche Kelly. And of course, then if you are Tabo and Kune, well, I saw him running Oceans. I don't think he's the fittest he's ever been, but I'll leave it up to him to he may have just been doing a training run, so I'm being a little rude. I apologize in advance, Tabu, but we have known each other a long time. I'm sure you'll forgive me. And he has run under 6 hours 3 times. So Wally Hayward is where he is, and that is a sub 2.5 hour marathon. So just make sure you are on the right plan. Then over the next 4 weeks, if you're on the finishers plan, you want to run 50 to 60 Ks. Now, the exception there will be that when you do your Comrades long run, you will obviously have a big week. So you're going to go 50 to 60, 50 to 60, probably a bit of a down week, so 40 to 50, and then you're going to do your long run, and we'll get into the exact weeks, but that week will obviously be a lot longer, and then you'll come back down to 50 to 60 before you start tapering 3 weeks out, and we'll cover tapering in the next webinar. For bronze, it's 60 to 70, so that's exactly the same. We're going to have our stock weeks at around 60 to 70. Robert Machali is up to 65 to 80 kilometers a week. Your bull runs are going to be hitting 90 Ks a week consistently. And then your silver medalists and faster will be minimum 100, but 150 plus, depending on how close they want to be to 7.5 hours or faster. Right. Between now and Comrades, the next really important thing is the Comrades long run. And that's really what I want to unpack tonight so that you can start preparing for that mentally and get a proper feel and idea and preparation for what we want to get out of that long run. Okay. What's the point of that long run? It is a dress rehearsal for Comrades. Okay. So this is the day that you're going to use to make sure that, and I'm going to repeat myself a little bit because I can't help myself but jump ahead sometimes, so some of the slides will be repeated. But this is the day that we get to have a little bit of a touch of what it feels like to run Comrades, but we are on tired legs. So it really should give you confidence, because if you implement your Comrades race plan and use everything that you're going to use on Comrades, it should help to build your confidence. So how long should it be? Now that's going to depend on three things, and I'm gonna talk about the silver medals and faster as a completely separate category. So for the rest of us normal people, we are going to decide how long this run is on three factors. Okay, have we run Oceans or another ultra marathon already? Okay, so if we have, and in particular if we have run Oceans, that will be our longest run. Okay, we are going to decide that on, are you a novice to Comrades and or a novice to running? So if you took up running just so that you can run Comrades, that's going to determine how far and when you run. And then the third thing is going to be, what is our goal time and what is our ability, and what are we capable of and how quickly do we recover? Okay, so if we have run 2 Oceans, we are recovering now, and then ideally we would like 3 weeks from that point. Now, if you live in the Western Cape, We do have the False Bay Ultra. It's a little bit far, but it's a great opportunity to be in a race situation, implement your race strategy, and implement your nutrition strategy. But ideally, if you have done oceans, we would like a minimum of 3 weeks, which is when False Bay is, but 4 weeks would be the right number. And we want to run between 40 and 45 kilometers. So novices, and in particular novices to running, 40 Ks. That's what you want that number to be. For more experienced athletes, faster runners, 45 kilometers. Okay. That also jumps then, and then of course, sorry, very importantly, what happens if you haven't done an ultra marathon and the longest run you've done up to this point is a marathon? Then I would like you to do 50 Ks. Okay. If you are a silver medal sort of contender, maybe if you're a bull run contender, 55 Ks, but really 50 Ks is far enough. When do we want to do it? So beginners, I like to be around the 26th and 27th. So that's novices to running full stop and novices to Comrades. But if you're a very experienced runner but doing Comrades for the first time, you can look at running the 3rd and 4th of May. And if you've done 2 to 3 Comrades, the 3rd and 4th of May is a good time. And then for your silver and faster, you will do your long run 55 Ks on the 10th or 11th of May, 4 weeks before Comrades. So that gives you a really good idea of when you should run it. And this is now getting into the very important stuff. Okay. This is practice for Comrades. Okay. For most of the field, for 95% of the Comrades field, Comrades is the slowest run you will do the whole year. I'm going to just whip out my calculator so that I don't get the numbers wrong. But let's say that you are training for a bull run. For a bull run, you've probably been doing the majority of your runs your long runs between 5:20 a kilometer and about 5:45 a kilometer. Okay. To run, assuming that Comrades is going to be 89 Ks, it'll be slightly longer this year. But just as a look, that'll be 9 times 60 divided by 89. That is just over 6 minutes a K. Right. Let's jump to 10 hour. So if you are running a 10-hour Comrades, you're probably doing the bulk of your training between 5:45 and 6:15. Okay. So if we look at what the average pace is for Comrades, 6:45. Okay. So again, you are going to be running. Comrades will be the slowest running you will do all year. And you have to know what that feels like. Okay. Because otherwise you're going to think you're running very easy because you know what easy running feels like. And then that'll be great for 30 kilometers and you'll start to feel weary. And by 60 kilometers, you'll be broken. And then you'll come to the expo in 2026 wondering and asking, like, how come I can't run my time? And I'll go, because you ran too fast in the first half. And you go, no ways, it felt so easy. You have to be disciplined. So this run is about teaching you to run at Comrades pace. This run, you must practice your run walk strategy. Okay. I will give you some guidelines for that. So if you are targeting a finish in this race, you should be looking to take a 1-minute walk every 3 to 6 kilometers. Okay. And doing extra walking on the hills. I would recommend something along the lines of 1-minute run, 1-minute walk, maximum 2-minute run, 1-minute walk. Practice that so that you know what it feels like. If you are looking at a bronze medal finish, you also in the 3 to 6, 1 minute every 3 to 6 kilometers. Your Robert Macharlies and Bill Rowan, you're looking at 1-minute walk every 6 Ks. And silver and faster, you're looking at a 1-minute walk every 9 kilometers, plus some walking on the hills. Okay, so very important, and that will help you to dial in your pace for race day. Okay, now someone's going to ask this question. I'm going to give you the answer now. I thought we only had 1 3-in-1 to contend with every year in March. It now turns out we're going to have another one in the Western Cape to do as a Comrades long run. You do not want to be doing 70 something kilometers in April or May. I don't know what the exact date of it is, but you do not want to be running 70 something kilometers 4 or 5 weeks out from Comrades. That will be your Comrades. You may still finish Comrades. You may still get the confidence psychologically to finish Comrades, but you will leave your best Comrades there. And for a good chunk of you, you will march straight into the 68% who don't finish Comrades because they started Comrades with an injury. So if anyone asks you about doing a 40, a 21, and a 10 in one day, NO spells no. Okay. You are not going to do it. I'm not even, yeah, I will not entertain any other option. You can do the 40 as your long run, and the other two, you can sit with your picnic blanket and snack. But the answer is no. Okay. Once you have done this long run, because we get forgetful, and you will feel a lot more confidence after doing the long run that Comrades is doable, you need to make a list. And this list, Brad and I will actually make a comprehensive checklist. We've got to do it. We did one a few years ago, but it needs updating. But this is just really, you need to sit down after your race. Shoes, socks, cap, plasters, Vaseline, nutrition, bra, anything that you used, you are going to use on race day. Before you do this run, any blistering, sore toes, anything that you've experienced up until this point, you're going to put plasters where that happened, put Vaseline where you chafed, all of that stuff, so that when you do this long run, you're going to put all those plans in place, make sure that everything is better. And then I'm going to talk about what we do with these lists in a couple of webinars time. But really, you want to have a list and know what you need and what works for you on race day. That is very, very important. Right. Because we are in peak training now, and this is the biggest risk for getting an overuse injury through the whole of the training program, I want you to have a look at this slide. Okay. If you're not doing strength here, do strength. Strength is there to help you prevent or help to reduce your injury risk. Okay. It is also there, obviously, to help with the performance side and to help with Fields Hill. But honestly, its biggest role is keeping you consistent and keeping you injury free. So strength is prevention. If you get injured, rest. If you get injured now, the type of injuries that we get right now in this part of training, they will clear up in 2 to 3 days. Okay. If you follow these steps, you rest. You ice the affected area 2 to 3 times a day for 5 to 10 minutes. Compression. If you've got compression socks or compression boots or something similar to that effect, put compression in the area. The ice and the compression and the elevation, putting your leg up in the air, those three things will reduce the inflammation. They will speed up the healing time. And most of the injuries that we have will clear up in 2 to 3 days. And if you off for 2 to 3 days, you're going to miss a maximum of 2 runs. Missing 2 runs will not impact your ability to finish Comrades. Carrying on training until it gets very sore and becomes chronic, that's going to impact your training because you're going to miss 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Even worse, you're going to start Comrades with an injury. 68% of the people who start Comrades with an injury simply do not finish. Okay. So make sure that you do not start with an injury. And if after 3 days you are still sore, you know you're dealing with a serious injury, get some physiotherapy. I promise you, if you follow those 3 steps, 9 out of 10 of you will be back on the road within a week, and you will have a very good chance of making it to Comrades without an injury. Okay, what happens if we get sick? Okay, what we've got to really try and do is make sure that we don't train with a viral illness. So this is particularly important now, especially in Joburg, Pretoria, etc. Now the high felts, anywhere inland, the Free State, very, very cold, dark. And at the moment in Joburg, it's getting chilly and it's wet. So if you get sick, I would just go and see a doctor, make sure it's not viral, but track your heart rate. And if your heart rate is up by more than 8 to 10 beats, very good chance that you've got a viral infection. You do not want to exercise with a viral infection. And guys, if you are sick, it's not too different to the injury, to be honest. If you are sick and you sleep in for a few days and get healthy quickly, you're not going to miss any training. But if you force it and train through, and then maybe you've got it's like a little sinus infection or a head cold, but you insist on training those 2-3 runs early in the morning, boom, it gets into your chest. And then suddenly you've got a big problem. You've got to go on antibiotics. You can't train properly. So really, if you get sick, just take a couple of days before you move on and train. Okay. So that's it from me for this part. The one thing we love about the webinars is the questions. So I will definitely be back to ask the questions. For those training plans, I said making sure you're on the right training plan. CoachPerry.com join. There are plans on the Comrades website. Importantly, that on our website, if you've done 2 oceans, I have written specific plans to take you from 2 oceans to Comrades, taking into account the fact that you have to recover. You can jump on and join up and get those. And then just very importantly, for all the ladies on here tonight, 23rd of April, 2025, we have a special ladies webinar just for you. Jump onto the Comrades website and make sure that you sign up for that.
Awesome stuff. Linz, thank you very much. Don't disappear just yet because there have been some amazing questions. I think let's pop a few of them to you in the meantime, and then I'll let you have a quick break, and then we'll get Nonto on to talk a little bit about what's going on from a Comrades board perspective and some Comrades housekeeping that everybody needs to know, and then we'll get you back and we'll get you and Tabo having a bit of a chat and hopefully a bit of motivation to get everyone fired up for Comrades 2025. But some wonderful questions coming through. Please do keep them coming in the comments. Lindsay, this I think is brilliant. From Rhodes and Glovu, let me get it up on the screen. Rhodes is saying, what are the biggest mistakes runners make during peak training that he should avoid? What a great question.
So probably the biggest, I've just tried very hard to emphasize, and that is ignoring an injury because you think this part of the training is so important that you can't afford to miss any. So that's one of the biggest mistakes runners make. And they often think they can hang on and just kind of run through it and then get to the taper and the injury will heal in those 3 weeks. So that's probably the number one thing that mistake you can make. And then because it is getting cold and dark, the things that impact our immunity the most are not getting enough sleep and not getting enough nutrition. And so that because we are living busy lives and we're really trying to squeeze a lot of training and still try and maintain some semblance of balance in our normal lives, we can often compromise on sleep and compromise on the nutrition, which leads to us getting sick. And that then obviously helps us avoid, or that's not helps us avoid. That is a mistake that we make. That's a big one. And then a very big mistake that people make now. And I'm so glad you asked that question, Rhodes, because I should have put it in my presentation. And that is that shoes are expensive. And so we're trying to squeeze out too many kilometers out of our running shoes. So guys, we are now in our peak training when our bodies are taking the biggest shots and it needs the most help. So make sure that keep an eye on those shoes, get new shoes when you need new shoes.
Rhodes, what a great question. Thank you for that. Lindsay, question from Linda Lani. You obviously were talking about the 3-in-1s. Those are the events where it's a marathon, a half marathon, and a 10K on one day. And as you said, no spells, or NO spells no. What about Easter 100? And I'm also going to throw in the Comrades over 3 days, because I know that happens down in KZN in the next couple of weeks. What about those 2 events where they're long, but they're multi-day?
Yeah, so look, I'm not nearly as vociferously against those. I do prefer people, depending on exactly where they are in their training cycle. So if you didn't do 2 oceans, I would say that doing the Friday and the Sunday is a good idea. If you did 2 oceans, doing the Saturday and the Sunday is probably not a bad idea. But if you did Oceans, you definitely don't want to do the Friday. And of course, there are a lot of people that do the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I don't think it's the smartest thing for everyone to do the full 100 kilometers. But it's certainly much better than trying to do 70 Ks in one day. So, yeah, I think in summary, I would advise Friday, Sunday, and then if you've done 2 Oceans, Saturday, Monday. The route tester, look, it's just shy of 90 Ks. And in fact, just because of the parts of the route that you can't run on, it's actually probably more like 30 odd, 20 odd. So I'm okay with people that do that, particularly people that have never seen or been on the Comrades route. So people who are traveling down to do it. If I lived in Durban and I was training on the route all the time, I would probably do a Friday and the Friday and the Sunday, or I would pick the 2 days of the route that I was the least familiar with, so that I could kind of get used to those. But yeah, so that's how I'd approach those ones.
I thought you were going to say the 2 days of the route that you're least scared of. Familiar goes, that works. All right, Lindsay, two questions on the same topic. One from Luvoyo. Luvoyo saying, can we use those anti-inflammatory tablets on maybe the third quarter of the race? And I think it was Sipo who, let me just find it, who asked the same question. There we go. It was Sipo asking about anti-inflammatories. What are your thoughts on anti-inflammatories and pain pills during Comrades?
Yeah, look, I think they're a really bad idea. The problem with anti-inflammatories, look, painkillers for a start are better. So if we have to look at the lesser of two evils, painkillers are better. Anti-inflammatories impact the return of blood flow to the kidney, so it impacts renal blood flow. And that's already compromised when we get into a dehydrated state. Now, the problem is nothing might happen this Comrades, perhaps not next Comrades, but there's always a risk of renal failure when we take anti-inflammatories in a dehydrated state. So my answer to that is no. And I always tell people, if you're going to be taking any form of pharmaceuticals, that should be under the advice of a medical doctor. And I know quite a few doctors that are like, look, one painkiller, particularly something in the kind of strength range of a Panado, is probably fine, and they would happily prescribe that. But anti-inflammatories, no, they really, it's really a smoking gun. It's like it's a fuse that's waiting to reach the bottom. You really don't want to do it. But again, I prefer people to use nothing, and if they really want to consult with a medical practitioner rather than asking someone like me for advice.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And then last question for you for the moment. We'll get you back to answer some more because there are some great questions that are coming through in the last couple of minutes. You mentioned strength training and the importance of it. And obviously, with 59 days to go, you said we can do it for 50 days of those 59. Julie wanted to know, what strength exercises should we be doing?
So look, you want to focus on the legs. I mean, I do feel like for ultra running in particular, having a strong upper body is helpful. It's particularly helpful with helping rhythm through those last 30 kilometers. But really, we are talking about the legs. And if you're a little bit compressed for time, and you also want to do them at home, then some great ones are to do squats, to do step ups onto a step, to do single leg squats. Okay, but those, especially if you haven't been doing strength, those must be body weight rather than having actual weights on them. And you can do a split squat instead of a lunge. So it's a similar movement to a lunge, but it's not nearly as dynamic. So you're not taking the steps. You're just going into a shallow curtsy almost. And then to do some stuff for your glutes with a band or something similar to that. Yeah, that's it. Glutes, hamstrings, quads. Those are your target areas, and mostly body weight, I think, if you haven't been doing strength up to now.
Yeah, absolutely. Lindsay, thank you so much. We'll get you back on in just a few minutes from now. So I'll let you take a wee break while we tee our next guest up to get onto the stream with us. And it's a great pleasure to welcome Comrades Marathon Association board member Nontutuku Mashimane onto the Comrades webinar this evening. So good to have you with us this evening.
Good evening, Brett. Good evening to all the runners on this webinar tonight. It's lovely to have you. Thank you for the introduction earlier. My name is Nontutuku Mashimane. I live in Pietermaritzburg. I do have 8 medals, and I've been running Comrades since 2015. It's been one of the most exciting moments in my life, life-changing. From being a volunteer once upon a time to being involved in committees and today being involved at board level has been just a journey. But it's a journey that I just want to say to you guys that there's nothing as lovely as just running the Comrades Marathon. There's no other anything like Comrades Marathon in the world. I don't know. I'm echoing, Brett, from your side. I don't know. I just don't want to.
No, Nontu, you are perfect from our side. It might just be on yours. I think you are sounding fantastic.
Okay, it's perfect. Okay.
Yep. I just want to make sure everybody, if there is a problem with the audio, please do just let us know in the chat. But on my side, it sounds perfect.
Okay. Let me just check what's going on with that because I'm having echo. Okay, no problem. So today I just want to tap on running for charity. So Comrades Marathon, which is a CMA, we have what we call the Amabidi Bidi. So under Amabidi Bidi, we have 6 charities. We have HACT.
Nontu, let me sorry to interrupt you.
Nontu,
there does seem to be a slight echo on your device. I don't know if you have a second device that's open at the moment that might be echoing there. So I see that we do have you on twice. If you could just turn
let me just check.
There we go. So I think that might be better now. So there we go. There we go. Unfortunately, we just seemed to have lost Nontu a second ago, but she should be back in just a second to talk a little bit about what's going on from a charity perspective around the Comrades Marathon. We'll get her back on in a second. I see the coach is still with us. Let me get the coach back on, and then let's get our next guest on while we are getting Nontu back onto the broadcast. Lindsay joins us once again, and it's an absolute pleasure to welcome onto the stage for the Comrades Marathon webinar, Thabo Nkuno, who is a racing snake of note, a Comrades Marathon PB of 5:55. He's got his green number. I think you're going for number 18 this year, Thabo. An absolutely incredible athlete. Linz, I know you know a lot more about Thabo's background and some of the things that he has done, some of his achievements. So I'm going to hand the reins over to you, and I know the two of you can have a bit of a chat and hopefully fire the rest of us up and get us excited about what is actually possible, Comrades 2025. So over to you, Coach.
Yeah, so Thabo, nice to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Lindsay. Just a
Cool,
little bit tired because of the 2 Oceans long run.
Yeah, it was good to see you out there on the road. So look, Thabo, you've done 18. You've done 3 of them under 6 hours, and which means you'll probably be doing your 20th on the 100th running, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I'm always fascinated to hear how people maintain that sort of longevity, because you've run just about 20 of them or 17 of them in a row, just missing out because of COVID, I think on to Comrades. So what's your secret to before I start talking about your very first Comrades and some advice you can give to the listeners? What's your secret to staying healthy, injury free, and running so many silvers? Because when you started this journey and you, I think one or two of your sub sixes even were before they had the Wally Hayward. So some of your sub sixes are, I think, silver medals. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But what's your secret? How do you stay healthy and manage to run Comrades year after year?
Nancy, it's not easy, man. Because in order to run those times, you need a lot of dedication and training. The reason I keep on coming back and running back those and running those times is because I train very hard. Yeah, especially when I'm I'm on peak. I do about between 160 to 200 kilometers per week. So that's not a pretty easy training. When you do that training, you need to take a good nutrition, and and also you you need to rest. You know, yeah. And and another thing, yeah, strength training. I also do some strength training, which boosts my legs. So yeah, you're quite right when you say there was a time when I ran about, I think it was about 15 or 16 complete marathon from 2003 until 2017, because I remember 2018 I got injured. So 2018 I didn't finish. And as you were saying that about 68% of runners they start complete being injured. So 2018 I was injured. So I just started, but I knew exactly that okay, I'm not gonna finish because I was injured. I was suffering from injury. So what is important here is to train very hard, is to take your nutrition, and another thing which is very 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 important, you must sleep, because I know that runners they don't sleep. Some runners which they don't sleep, but it's very tough sometimes because I'm a full-time worker. I work full-time. I'm employed by the Department of Land Reform and Rural Development. So I have to wake up in the early hours, sometimes by 3:30. I am on the road, I'm training, and then in the afternoons, I have to run. But I don't train alone, because I've got a group of very good guys who who al- who who join me once in a while, like in training. And another thing, remember, I used to, while we were still at KPMG and Marine Roberts, once in a while I would come to you, Coach Perry, I've got this situation, how can I improve? So yeah, yeah, it's very important to ask when you need something, you just need to ask, yeah, because you cannot know
And
everything.
and Tabo, I'm also interested. Why Comrades? What do
Lindsay,
you love about Comrades? What keeps bringing you back?
Lindsay, if I can just over the top, if I could just ask you to pull your mic down, the audio on your mic is a little bit low. So if you on the mic next to you, yeah, if you can just pull it down just a little bit, that's next to the headpiece, just so we can get the audio slightly better. There we go. That should be
Okay.
perfect. Linz, sorry, I don't know if you want to shoot your question again.
Yeah. So tell us, what do you love about Comrades? What keeps bringing you back?
Lindsay, you can run a marathon, you can run an ultra, but with Comrade is different, because the camaraderie at Comrade, that spirit, is out of this world. Yeah, that's what keeps on bringing me back to Comrade. Comrade is just a special race. It's an ultimate human race.
Cool. Um, yeah. So Tabo, I think it was 2017 that you ran 5:55. Was that? I can't remember if that was an up or down run, but which of the two is your favorite and why?
Let's see. Yeah, it was 2017 when I ran 5:55, and it was an up run. And remember, I love hills, né? Yeah, and you know what? I was trained by a great man, Claude Mushiwa. 2013, when Claude Mushiwa was winning the Abran, myself and then and another guy called Chilis and some of the guys, we used to train with Claude Mushiwa. And Claude, like, is a good guy. Like, I mean, like, is a very good climber. So like I was not good with hills, and then from then I learned from Claude, and then I have to improve the hills. So when it comes to up, I like up run, and I really like up run, but even down run is not a problem because the first one which I've got in 2014, it was a down run.
Okay. So, 8th of June, there's lots of people on this call that are doing their first Comrades. What's the best bit of race day advice you can give to someone who's out there going for their first Comrades marathon?
Uh, the thing, Lindsay, you know what? Like the first comrade, don't go there and compete. You need to go there and just enjoy, and then don't set like some targets. Just go there and enjoy the race. And during the race, don't do something which you didn't train for, and don't try like some new stuff. Yeah, just like me. Uh, can you believe that when my first comrade, it was a Billy Rowan, which I think it was 7 hour 40. And that time we didn't have like coaches like Coach Perry. Like now they are so lucky because like now there's a lot of training groups, so like they're getting advice. That's why you can get even a guy running his first comrade and running a wally. Yeah, so at least like they've got that information. The information is there when you're going for your first run. um, it's better to go there under trained than going there overtrained and going there being injured. Just go there and enjoy comrade and enjoy the spirit of comrade.
Awesome. Last one. What you going for? What's your time you're targeting on the 8th of June?
Yeah, that's a big one. So, Lindsay, as you know, when I train, actually, I used to train for gold. Unfortunately, when I miss gold, I used to get a Wally Howard, which is like it's a second best from the gold. Yeah, but no, I will definitely be going for another sub 6. Yeah. Remember 2023, I tried and then I only missed that medal by, I think it was 50 or 53
A
seconds.
few seconds. Yeah.
Just a few seconds. So I need to I need to get that medal. Yeah, which is man, it's so great, man, getting that medal. So yeah, I will be gunning for a sub 6.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, look, I'm sure we'll get a few questions for you in the chat. I don't know if there are some now, Brad, before we see if Nantu is back online and ready to talk to us about the charities.
Yeah, I can definitely see Nontu is back online. Here's a question, and I think I'm going to ask Tabo this question, but I don't think this advice that Tabo is going to give is going to be applicable to everybody. But I want to know the answer to Tabo, what his answer to this question would be, and then Lindsay, you can answer it too. This one is from Ninalani asking, how many kilometers must be reached to finish Comrades during the training period? So from the 1st of January to the end of May, just a minimum, and hardly a target, but just of weekly kilometers. So, Tabo, I'm going to ask you this question, you first. So, like in your training to run a sub 6 Comrades, obviously you're aiming for a gold. How many kilometers would you train from the 1st of January right through to Comrades race day?
Brett, between 2000 and 2005 kilometers.
Man alive.
Yeah, so hey, you need to pump some kilometers. It's not easy. Yeah, and then when you doing those kilometers, it's a lot of sacrifice. Yeah, even your family, they suffer a lot. Yeah.
That is incredible. Lindsay, can I do 2,500 Ks between January and Comrades?
Have you pumped up the tires on your bike?
No, I was going to say the answer to that question would be NO spells no. But what should the mere mortals of us, what should we be doing?
Yeah. So if you're aiming to finish Comrades, you're looking at between like 900 and 1050. Kind of that's your window. That averages out at about 50 Ks per week over the 5 months leading into Comrades, and it allows for a couple of slightly bigger weeks and obviously a taper. But that gives you a nice ballpark figure to aim for: low 900s, very low 1000s.
I love this. You're going to love this too, Tabo. This is from Hadman, and this is so true. It says Tabo works full time and completes 2,000 kilometers. Wow, what a champion! So I don't think the average runner realizes the sacrifices that goes into being a competitive Comrades runner. It is absolutely incredible. And then a question for you, Tabo, from Bongani Zondi. Bongani wants to know, how do you balance working full time and training for Comrades as competitive as you do? What is your secret to getting that balance right?
It's not easy, but you know what? Because you have to wake up early in the morning. Like I say, like on Monday. On Monday when I have to do like 20 kilometers. So I'm working in Pretoria. I'm based in Ekurhuleni, and then I'm working in Pretoria. And then in order to run the 20 kilometers, I have to be out by 4 o'clock. And then it's 4, 5, and then by around 5:30, I have to be back, and then I have to prepare to go to work. And then in the afternoon, when it's Monday, I have to maybe go and do some fat legs. And then again, like Wednesdays, like it's tough, but at least we do have some like a sports day, and then from then I can do my long run at work around maybe between 25 to 30 kilometers. And then weekend, that's when I hit the ground running. Saturday, like it's the day where like I do a long run between 45 to 50 kilometers. And then when it's a peak, when it's a peak training, then I take a leave. I take a leave of about 3 weeks, and then maybe I will go to the mountains, or like Kwakwa, or if I don't go there, I go to the south, because at the east, at the east end, we don't have the hills. If you want the hills, either you go to the south. I mean, yeah, you go to the south or Pretoria. Yeah, because there's a nice routes there in Pretoria, like Groenkloof, yeah, tough routes, yeah.
Tabo, that is absolutely incredible. So many people are inspired by what you do. And Linz, I think my big takeaway from what Tabo was saying here, and that was just your running, Tabo. You also do strength training, and you're a huge advocate of strength training. That if Tabo can work full time, do between 2,500 Ks from the 1st of January to Comrades, and do strength training, the rest of us have got no excuse to not do strength training. So if you're not doing strength training, hopefully this is the sort of sign you'll be looking for, that if Tabo can do it, the rest of us can do it as well. Yeah, absolutely incredible. And I echo these sentiments from Lauren saying, wow, extraordinary, no excuses. I love that. Tabo, I think you've inspired a lot of people this evening. So thank you very much. I'm sure there will be some more questions for you. If they do pop up, we'll get you back on in a sec. But all the best for the rest of the build-up to Comrades 2025. And fingers crossed, hopefully we can see you crossing the line for that elusive gold medal that you are chasing. We really do hope that it does come to fruition this year. We're sending all the positive vibes that we can your way. We want you to get that gold medal this year. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Coach Perry.
Excellent stuff. That is a legend. Linz, I mean, those sorts of kilometers are absolutely phenomenal. It's amazing. Yeah, I love sort of seeing, obviously most of us are average athletes, and we don't comprehend what these elite guys and girls go through to put their bodies through on race day in order to compete. And yeah, it's just absolutely inspiring. So yeah, Linz, I don't know if you want to add anything to what Tabo said, but yeah, I mean, I'm speechless.
No, and look, I like to get them on because this is what I always try and emphasize to people, and why you shouldn't follow a plan that's above your ability, because unfortunately in running ability terms, we are not all created equal, and the biggest determinant of success in running is actually your parents. Your parents determine just how good you can be. Sure, once you've got the ability, then you need to train and work it. But if I try to run 250, 300 kilometers in my peak weeks. I might get through 1 week, maybe. Definitely not getting through 2. So yeah, that's the reality, is that we are not all created equal, and that's why we need to train for where we are. And yeah, so guys like Tava put it all on the line. They sacrifice a lot. You heard him. It's very difficult. His children, his wife, they don't see him for 3 months of the year. For those 3 weeks that he's talking about when he takes leave, they go to Graskop and to I don't know why the name Dalstrom, Graskop and Dalstrom, and they just pile on the kilometers, and all they do there is sleep, eat, train. That's it. And that's the kind of commitment it takes to run under 6 hours at Comrades.
Yeah, absolutely. Linz, thank you very much for that. And I think let's get Nontu Mane back on as well. Nontu, apologies, my internet dropped just as you started last time, and I think that's what created the chaos. So hopefully we've got everything sorted now. And just apologies about that, but great that we could get you back on. And I know you wanted to talk about some important updates, particularly around the charities and some of the important work that the charities do with the money that they sort of gather and raise through the Comrades Marathon. So I'm going to hand the floor over to you if that's okay.
Thank you so much, Brad. Thank you, everybody. And as I said, my name is Nondusugo Mashimane. I've been running Comrades since 2015, and I have been running for charity from the time I was a novice. And till this day, I'm so passionate about what the charities at Comrades do, and hence I think it's quite a blessing to be given an opportunity to lead and spearhead the charities and CSI committee at Comrades Marathon Association. So just a little background about my running. 2015, I started running for running Comrades, and in one of the seminars in Pietermaritzburg, I sat there and they started speaking about charities. And one of the staff members explained to me what does it mean to run for charity. And I think at that time I just fell in love with the concept that I can run for more than myself. I can actually add value to my whole community in South Africa by, marrying my passion for running and what I'm trying to accomplish with my first Comrades Marathon with a charity, and to do something for people I don't know, I've never met before, and they can never repay me for me taking them with me on my journey. And then I chose a charity and raised funds, and every year it's been part of my Comrade story, and it's been so fulfilling, overwhelming, such a blessing to know that, we, with Comrades Marathon platform and being a runner, being passionate, I can actually add value to South African communities, especially children. I'm very passionate with children. So today I would just want to encourage runners who are running Comrades Marathon, whether you are running it for the first time, you're running your 10th Comrades, you're going for a green number or whatever it is, and you've never ran for a charity, it is something that you should think about and actually probably add to your Comrades journey. I always say to people that it's even reached the green number, that it's time for you to give back to the sport and the community of Comrades, and bring awareness about the charity that you've chosen at Comrades Marathon, and raise awareness and raise funds for whatever charity that you have chosen. If we can just think about the marathons or the events around the world, especially overseas, they're very much big with charity, and that is one of my biggest wishes, that at Comrades Marathon, being such a human, ultimate human race, and there's no other event like Comrades in the world, that we could actually elevate the number of runners that do take on to run for charity. So if you go on the website, the Comrades website, you go under Mabidi Bidi, you will see that we've got 6 charities that are official Comrades Marathon charities. And you can pick one of those charities, register to run for charity, and you start raising awareness, and your community, from you at workplace, your community, your family, friends, it is commendable of you to actually run for more than yourself. And I do believe that they will support you. And when you reach 6,000 Rand or above at Comrades, for raising funds for a charity, you get a special seating, which is a CC seating. I know that at the moment we don't really use the norm way of seeding, which is A, B up to H, because of the two starts. But the most important thing that I want to emphasize to all the runners who will be running for charity with this new change is that the green number runners, or people who have green number, and the charity runners will be starting at the we'll be starting second at Comrades, the second start, and they will be in the front. So which means there will be the elite runners of the second batch that will be going off at Comrades Marathon on the 8th. So that is a benefit for being a charity runner. I think it's a good idea that has happened, because we are giving our special runners, which number one have reached the green number community, or they're part of the green number community, ran 10 Comrades or more, or the charity runners, those who are running for more than themselves and they've chosen a charity, one of the charities at Comrades Marathon. They will be standing in the front. So that is a benefit, because if you've been listening to Coach Perry, he did explain about, if you are starting at the back, you will be having those few seconds or minutes that you would have lost because of the way you've qualified. So it is an added value to you if you run for charity, where you'll be starting. But the most important thing I just want to add want to say to the Comrades Marathon runners, especially the novices, is that when you are running Comrades, and it does get hard, and it's about to get harder as we've entered the April month and the May, where we have to add more to our mileage. It gets harder, it's getting colder. And you need to have your why. Why are you running Comrades Marathon? And I know each and every one of you do have a why, but it helps to even have that other why, that you are adding value to the community at large in South Africa at Comrades by choosing a charity. It's not about the medal only that you'll be getting at the end of Comrades, but it's about the people or the charities that you've taken with you during this journey, and you've added so much more into your running by running for more than yourself, running for a bigger cause, and that is so commendable. And I can attest and tell you that it's life-changing completely. Hence, I've never ran a Comrades without choosing a charity to run for that year. So that is what I can encourage you on during this webinar, that whether you're a slow runner, whether you are a slow social runner, or even a runner that is quite fast, it doesn't change anything with your training, doesn't change anything with what medal you're going to get. It's just adding that next to your name, that you are also that superhero that decided to run for more than themselves. And I know Brad also ran for charity. It's the most wonderful feeling at the end of the day to have done such a wonderful thing with your comrades. And as CMA, we put our stakeholders first, which including our charities, including our sponsors, including you guys as our runners, including so many people that we need to make sure that we elevate each and every person that is part of this big, huge family that is in South Africa. And as a South African, it is so important to understand that we need to be the change that we want to see in this country. And with the passion that we have with running, and we have so many runners that are signed up for Comrades, there is so much that we can do by just running for charity. I mean, we've got about 24,000 runners that are signed up. If we have about 20,000 at the start line, and each and every runner had to add even something small as 50 Rand to 100 Rand towards charity, we would actually be far with the fundraising. So with that said, good luck to everybody who's running this year, and good luck with the last block of training. And do choose to run for charity. It's the most wonderful thing. And yeah, see you on the 8th. And yeah, keep healthy and keep injury free.
Absolutely. Nontu, I'm so excited that you're involved with the CMA, but particularly around the charities. As you mentioned, I was involved with the sort of start of the CC batch back in 2011 when it was first launched by Comrades, and I think it is an incredible initiative. If you look at races like the majors, like London Marathon or New York Marathon, and the millions and millions of dollars that get raised for charities, it is phenomenal. And I think Comrades is well on the way to becoming one of those races. I mean, Comrades is iconic in itself, and it makes a huge difference in the communities that it's run in. And I want to urge people to go and look at the charities. There's 6 official charities. There's something there that will resonate with you. Maybe not all the charities would resonate with you, but if you're into the bush in South Africa, for example, the honorary rangers do amazing things. We've all been touched and affected by cancer in some way or another. I can tell you what CHOC does. I mean, I get goosebumps just talking about it because I know the people who started CHOC, and I know the work that they do and the impact that they have on communities around South Africa. One of the charities that's been around Comrades for a long, long time is the Community Chest in Pietermaritzburg in Durban. And the Community Chest, I think, is one of the unsung heroes amongst the charities with Comrades because they have so many projects on the go. And I remember back in 2011 when I first started dealing with the charities and I dug into what these charities do, I was floored, absolutely floored by what the Community Chest does in KwaZulu-Natal and the amount of people that they impact on a daily basis. And they are desperate for money, and literally every single cent that you donate to the Community Chest, they make that thing go so far and have such a big impact on the communities. They have feeding schemes, they have housing schemes, they have like literally hundreds of projects that they run. Your money is definitely not wasted. It is going to a great cause. But I really want to urge you, go and check each one of the charities out and just dig in there a little bit and find something, as Nontu said, find something that resonates with you and let that be your why on Comrades Race Day. You wanted to add something there, Nontu?
Yeah, I just want to add on with also Community Chest. What else that people don't know, the Community Chest actually gives their time during Comrades weekend, not only being at Expo, but they also run the Runners Village, where we have runners that can't afford accommodation and they want to run Comrades, but they need housing, they need to eat during the weekend. And the Community Chest is there at the YMCA serving those runners. And we do have about 500 of those runners where we house them as Comrades and we feed them, but we need hands-on people to actually make sure that those runners are taken care of, and that the charity that does that is Community Chest. So yes, Brad, Community Chest works very hard. I mean, they support children, early childhood development, children that don't have parents and they probably live with gogo and they go to school without food. You know, they support such. And you know, we've got Childline as a charity also doing a phenomenal work. We have HACT that deals with HIV and AIDS that involve, and I think every other person, or not, maybe every person has been affected or infected by HIV. So all of these charities that we have selected to be part of Comrades, they are the South African story of what we are going through as South Africans, and they really do need our help. And I do want one day for us to see ourselves as an event, because we are iconic. We are an ultra distance event that we can't even compare ourselves with any in the world. We set up the standards when it comes to ultra distance running, and for us to be part of that as runners, it will also be it will be commendable for us to be part of what we're trying to do in South Africa as a nation to actually change lives. So I do urge people to get themselves involved with charity. and be the change, like I said, that they want to see in our country. In our country needs Comrades. Our country needs the Springboks, because those are the things, those are the sports that unite us as people. So let's do our part, and let's change lives with Comrades.
Absolutely. Nontu, a couple of questions, if I may. Some of them charity related, and then there've been one or two just general Comrades related. And I know you're on the board, so I'm not sure if you're in position to answer those sorts of questions. But one thing I love about the new Comrades board is they're pretty open, and they also are sort of open and honest enough that if they don't know the answer, they go, you know what, I don't know the answer now, but I'll get the answer for you. So I'm going to shoot the questions. If you're not comfortable answering, or if you don't know the answer, that's cool. We'll get the answers for people. But two of them that came through were charity related, and people are asking, can we run for other charities? Does it have to be one of the official Comrades charities to get into the sort of special seeding batch for the race for charity?
Okay, so we have 6 charities. We have 6 charities that we've officially nominated to be part of our brand, and we do encourage people to choose those 6 charities. But be as it may, people can run for any other charity that they want. I've seen so many runners do that, and they have to obviously do their own background check with how they can marry themselves with their charity, and which portal they can open for people to put money in there. And I think some people use Backabuddy, but be as it may, they cannot be part of the structure that we've set for our Comrades runners who choose to run for our six of our charities, which means you won't get a CC batch seeding if you run for a charity outside the 6 charities. So yes, by all means, you can run for any charity that you want, but the perks, put it that way, that comes with running Comrades and running for our charities, you won't get.
Awesome stuff. And then the other question, which I love, and I know the answer, and I'm sure you do too. Somebody's asking, they are a foster runner, so they're not going to be in wave 2 at the start. Do they have to start in wave 2, or can they raise money for charity and start where they're actually seeded to start?
The one thing that I've always also emphasized to people, that the CC seeding is just a nice perk if you need it. But for me, for example, I've never, most of the time, I don't even use a CC seeding, because it's either I want to run with friends, or my time is better. I've qualified to be in C batch, so I don't want to be in CC batch. So the answer to that is no. If you're a fast runner, you're an A seeding runner, or you'll be starting in the first batch, first group on the 8th, you don't have to start at CC seeding. It's not compulsory. It's just a nice perk for those who are starting at the back, and they get to stand in a special seating or special place at the start. So no, you don't have to start at CC. If you want to start at H because you have somebody that you are taking along Comrades that day, it's perfectly fine. You'll just have to let us know that, do not give me CC, I want to start at the back, and we'll keep your seating as is. So no, it's not compulsory.
Not just, some of us need all the help we can get, so I'm definitely starting with the charity runners. Race day. The good news is my 6,000 Rand has been raised. I'm a bit over that now, so I will definitely be there. Really want everyone else to do exactly the same. I mean, if we each just go and raise 1,000 Rand for these charities, I tell you what, together we can make such a big difference. And I'm going to ask you this question, and I'm going to share mine. One of the things that I love about Comrades is just that I think it shows us what South Africa can be on the day. Like, we have issues. Let's be honest, South Africa does have issues. But on Comrades race day, it's just like, to me, that is South Africa. Everybody's pulling in the same direction. We're all doing the same thing. It's amazing. And this is our opportunity to make a difference. You're on the board as well. Obviously, you're very involved with the charities, but we've seen how people can take shots at boards, and it's not just Comrades, it's all races. When things go wrong, people get in the firing line, unfortunately. So it's a thankless job. When things go well, nobody thanks you, but when things go bad, you're the first one in the firing line. Why have you decided to step up and volunteer and be part of the solution around Comrades and stand for nomination, and now on the board and doing valuable work? Why Comrades? What does it mean to you?
Okay. So when I was growing up, and I went to a school in Maritzburg, Pietermaritzburg Girls High, and the route, the old finish used to finish at the stadium, which was next to my school, and so the school was very much involved. But before that, I mean, I was raised in a home where my mom is very much a sports fanatic, and I loved Comrades. So that we used to wake up and watch Comrades on TV, and then there was a time that she used to take us along the route, and I remember being at Pinetown most of the time and for the whole day, and will bring us Skottelbraai and picnic basket and stay there the whole day and cheer. And my mom will be very active to be cheering for runners, saying, "Well done, you're nearly there." And we used to copy her because we didn't even know what that means, going where, nearly there where. And we used to be so enthusiastic and go back home and your voice is gone. And, you know, the sport grew into me, and I was a sports and an active person at school. But the running part of it was when my own brother, my older brother, Sibs, one day decided to run Comrades. And obviously, it's like, are you crazy? Running Comrades from Maritzburg to Durban or Durban to Maritzburg. And then I saw him train, and I remember one of the times when he used to wake me up at about 3 o'clock to take him to where he's meeting friends who are going on the route of a long run. And I'm thinking, who does that? 3 o'clock in the morning, you're going to run in the dark. And I saw him train, and I watched him run his first Comrades. I was actually at the finish. It was a down run. And when I looked at his face when he finished, Brad, he had this face of saying, I have done something so awesome by myself. And I went through all the odds, and my own family was doubting me, and I was doubting myself, but I just went out there and I did it, and I'm here with my own 2 feet. And I wanted that feeling also. I was so jealous, like, my God, this guy. And then that is when I fell in love with supporting runners along the route, and I only started running 2015. But before, I think 2014, I volunteered for Comrades. As I was at school, we used to volunteer. They used to take a bunch of us to help at the finish. And I remember I was one of the stretcher people at the finish. And I've worked at the Comrades House as a at that time they had Reebok as a sponsor. Worked at Reebok shop. And I think I just fell in love with the community. I fell in love with the staff. I was very much close to the staff there. I used to pop in there with my school uniform and say hi to them. And I volunteered. And then during I think 2015, I got involved with the committees when I started running Comrades. Actually, it's my 10th year this year being involved with Comrades officially. And I think what happened is that some runners said to me when there were nominations up, like, don't you want to stand up and put your name out there? And because we feel you can make a difference because of what you've done in the sports or in the running fraternity, around Maritzburg, Durban, and and I've been so much involved with the running space. And then I'm like, oh, okay, if you feel that way about me, sure. I mean, I'm a server. I believe in serving people. I love serving people. So I did put my hand up, and then I got voted in. And then when I started my term of office, that's when I think last year things happened at Comrades. And, the board, some of them left, and I was there. I was the last one in, but I'm the one that just stayed because, I mean, I come from a family or a father who tells me that if you're a leader, you need to solve problems. You don't run away. You need to face the music and just solve the problems. And hence I stayed, and I experienced the board that took over the interim board, the ex board, and then I met the new board, which I'm working with today. And, it has been an era and quite an era of change at Comrades, because I think it's the first of its kind where it's an uncomfortable change that we've gone through, but it's a change that it had to happen for us to actually go to greater heights. So I've stayed because, Brad, to be honest, I just love Comrades. I love the brand. I love what it stands for. When I was living overseas, they're actually in love with South Africa. I realized overseas that people love us. People think the world of us. And that is when I took pride of who I am and where I come from as a country. And I believe me, we do have problems, but in other countries, they have bigger problems. It's just that they're not spoken about. And you only know that if you've lived in another country long enough to see that, you know what, I prefer to be home with our problems. I prefer my family over other people's families. I mean, my parents told me that don't ever look at your neighbor and want to be part of their family, because you don't know what's happening in those closed doors, in those walls. So same thing with my country, same thing with Comrades. And there's no other event like Comrades around the world. That is why I stand with pride as a runner, as a volunteer, as a board member, as a charity runner, as part of community in running, as a seconder, as a supporter at Comrades, that there's nowhere else that I'd rather be. I love Comrades. And, it's just that I'm not a tattoo person. I should be having tattoos of Comrades every on myself. That's how much I love the brand, and I love the brand and its people.
Nontu, you're amazing. We appreciate you, and we look forward to lining up on the 8th of June alongside you as we make that journey together. The feedback's been amazing in the chat tonight. Thank you very much. If there's anything we can do from Coach Parry's side, please do shout. We are here to help as well. We also want to be part of the solution. Thank you so much for joining us and spending this evening with us. I know we've got lots of questions coming through from the coach, or for the coach, so we're going to get him on in just a moment. Yeah. There is one more question that's Comrades housekeeping related, and I'm not sure if you can answer it. Somebody was asking, when will we know what the official route distance is?
I know from my GM, Elaine, he did promise that by the end of this week we should be announcing what distance, what's the accuracy, or what's the accurate distance for this year. So I'm definitely know that you guys, or the whole community at Comrades, will know that information sooner than later. It's important. I think people, it's funny enough how runners think, Brad. They want those finer details for it to make sense in their minds. So end of the week we should be getting the distance, and don't forget, guys, to make sure that you qualify and do not miss qualifying period, which is before, I think, the 4th of May, because we don't want to start the 8th without you. We need you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Once you hit 60 Ks, it's all the same. So 65, 70, 80, it all hurts. It just hurts for slightly longer. So whether it's 86 or whether it's 90 on race day, it doesn't matter. We're all going to be in for pain, and we're all in it for the long haul. So Nontu, thank you so much for your time. Let's get the coach back on. We really do appreciate you, and we'll catch up again soon. If there are any other questions for Nontu, please do shoot them through. Let's get into some of those training questions that people have been asking. Lindsay, 1 or 2 questions with regards to nutrition. There was one from Shalem. Let me pop it up on screen. Shalem wants to know, what meal should a new runner prepare for the halfway mark? Do we be, or are we needing to eat full meals at the halfway mark at Comrades?
100% something that you've tried before. And Brad, I would practice something solid. So you tried banana bread at Two Oceans, and it didn't agree with you, which is again the exact reason why you want to practice these things. So small bits. So I wouldn't prepare a meal as such at halfway. I know from past races that something like a bovril, like a really small, almost a quarter of a sandwich of bovril bread, and I'd have like 2 bites of it, and maybe do that twice along the route. But small amounts of solid foods to complement the gels, the energy drink. Some bars are generally quite good. Definitely whatever it is, practice with it. I've had clients that swear by Chelsea buns. That was just amazing for them. Custard slices. I'm trying to think of the kind of more out there ones, but potato wedges are great. Banana is very good. So it needs to be fairly easy for the body to digest, and you're not going to eat it in large quantities. I think that's the key. It's like you want to drip it in there. You want to have some solids that have got salts. You want to have some liquids, and you want to have some gel. So you just really want to keep that kind of mixed up. There are people that love nut butters. There are people that like biltong sticks. There are salt sticks, or another thing that I've heard people that they really like. Yeah, I think the important thing really is just making sure that it is something that you have practiced, that you can eat, and in the second half of the race, preferably things that you look forward to having. For me, that's cream soda, ice cold cream soda. But for salted caramel ice cream is another great one that I've heard from people. I've got one friend who always carries money with him, because in Westville and in Pinetown there are oaks walking up and down with their ice cream trolleys for the spectators, and he buys a salted caramel ice cream or a chocolate ice cream with his money, and then he sucks on that while he runs along.
That is so good. Lindsay, here's a question I don't think we've ever been asked on one of these webinars. This one's from Vishan Padiachi. Vishan wants to know, what's your opinion on hyperbaric oxygen sessions? Before you give us your opinion, for those of us who don't know what they are, give us a little bit of background on what they are and what they do.
So that's a chamber that you can sit in where you can increase or decrease the partial pressure of oxygen in the air. And in English, that means you can increase or decrease the amount of oxygen. So the higher that oxygen is, the more of it is available. And there have been some unbelievable studies to show how quickly hyperbaric chambers can heal injuries like stress fractures and bone injuries. And so that would lead us to believe that if you have the means in South Africa, and now I'm talking 4 or 5 years ago, I had an athlete that went into hyperbaric chamber at a cost of 800 Rand a session. Now, so, with inflation, etc., that's probably going to cost you close to 1,000 Rand a session. So obviously, if you've got access to that kind of thing, then it is going to speed up recovery. And there's no question that people who live and train at the coast recover quicker. They don't get the physiological benefits of the increased red blood cells that we get from training up at altitude, but their recovery is much better. Hence why in a lot of athletic programs, what they try to do is have people to sleep high so that they can get the stimulation of the red blood cells, but they train low so that they can get the advantage of the recovery and the performance benefits of the increased oxygen. So in short, if you've got access to something like that and you can spend a couple of hours a week, or at least after all your hard sessions, that's going to make a big difference to speeding up recovery.
Cool, great question. Lindsay, one from Modise. Modise says, is there a shuttle from Durban to Pietermaritzburg? I'm taking it that is on the morning of the race. And there's a funny story about the shuttles. The short answer is yes. How do we find out about them? How do we get tickets? That sort of thing.
Yeah, so those you'll see they'll be called buses. And there will be bus tickets available at the expo, so you can buy those, and then they will all line up at the beachfront and at the up run start, and they will shuttle people to Pietermaritzburg. That's the correct use of the word. And then, of course, we will have at least 1,000 Americans that are running Comrades, and they will come into the expo asking, where can we find the Comrades coaches, and people will send them to our stand, and they are not looking for us, they are looking for buses, because in America they call them coaches, and they are looking for bus tickets. They are not looking to have a conversation with the Comrades coaches.
Yeah, we can get pacing bands from us. We don't get bus tickets, that's for sure. Question from Natalie Labuskachny, Lindsay. Natalie says, some advice for keeping the immune system healthy. That would be appreciated. Short of moving your children and wife out of the house for the next 8 weeks, what can we do to make sure we don't get sick before Comrades?
Yeah, so you can definitely take a high quality vitamin C and vitamin D. That's normally a good combination to take to help to boost the immune system. And then, you know, it's a myth that if you get cold and wet, that you're going to get sick. But if you hang around after you've been training, so you've trained hard, it's cold outside, your clothes are wet, then if you let yourself get cold and your body temperature to drop. So when that happens, when your body temperature drops, your immune system becomes suppressed. And then if there are germs around, you're more likely to get sick. So when you are finished training, have a nice warm shower, get dressed, then do your stretching and mobility. So make sure that you keep yourself warm and you don't let your body temperature drop. And that's like a massive boost to your immune system. And then obviously any extra sleep you can get. So if you can sleep an extra 20 minutes a night, half an hour a night, extra hour a night in these peak training, that makes a huge difference to boosting your immune system. So yeah, vitamin C, vitamin D, get extra sleep, make sure you eat well, and get warm and dry as soon as you can after you've trained.
Yeah, some wonderful questions coming through. This one, I'm not sure, it's from In a Bag. That's the name of the YouTube channel that submitted the question, saying, is there any reasonable way to estimate a target time for Comrades based on your finishing time for Two Oceans? Lindsay, I know you've got lots of little like marathon calculators, but do you have one for Two Oceans for everybody who ran this weekend, what they can expect to run at Comrades?
So look, I don't have a super accurate one, but I can tell you what works fairly well is you convert your Two Oceans time into minutes per K, or minutes per mile. So 5 hours times 60 divided by 56 will give you a fraction of 5 point something. You multiply that by 1.1 and then multiply it by 89. That'll give you a pretty good idea within 5-6 minutes of what you're capable of. And then kind of for the broad strokes, around 405-ish is silver. Around 5 hours is a pretty safe bull run. So if you run under 5 hours at Oceans, you're probably looking at like a between 8:45 and 8:50. So that's a pretty safe bull run. 5.5 hours is your in and around Robert Machali. 6 hours is a very safe bronze, probably 6:15-ish gives you plus minus. Yeah, and I mean, if you finished under 7 hours, you really have a very, very strong chance of finishing Comrades. So anything kind of around the 7 or just over 7 gives you a pretty good shot of finishing Comrades.
That is music to my ears, Lindsay, after my Two Oceans effort this weekend. A question here from Anastasi. And Lindsay, I think this applies. I mean, you spoke about if you feel a niggle or to get it sorted as quickly as possible so you don't miss much training. Anastasi is saying that she's qualified already, but haven't been training for 3 weeks because of illness. Feeling better now, but worried I can still make it. So let's just talk about if you do miss some training between now and Comrades for whatever reason, whether it's 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Do you play catch up? What's the deal? Are you going to lose that much fitness that you can't run Comrades? What's your advice here?
So you definitely don't play catch up. And 3 weeks is a decent chunk. So you would have lost some, not a lot, but you would have lost some fitness. So that's the good news. You wouldn't have lost a lot of fitness. So, in a week, you'll lose nothing. In 2 weeks, you lose very close to nothing. And in 3 weeks, you do start to lose a significant amount, enough to impact performance. However, you've got 9 weeks or 8.5 weeks from today to Comrades. So no, you are a long way out from being dead and buried, but you do need to get back onto your plan. So depending on what your marathon time was, we put those all up there, but you got to get onto that plan. You got to start training now. You do want to look at doing a 45-ish kilometer, 4 to 5 weeks from Comrades. But no, you are not dead and buried yet. But you do need to get cracking now.
Yeah, awesome. Lindsay, I know we spoke about sort of the mileage that we should be doing per week and that sort of thing, but there are a handful of people who haven't qualified for Comrades yet, and Dudley is one of them. He says, if you haven't qualified yet, which would be the best option? Wally Hayward Marathon, which is in Gauteng, I think it's on the 1st of May, or the 50K False Bay Ultra. Which of those two would be best, and what advice could you give to the folks who haven't qualified yet? What is the sort of strategy and the sort of game plan between now and obviously that 4th of May deadline to get your qualification time in for Comrades?
So I think the 50 is harder. I think it's a tougher route. So I would, based on that, you do get the benefit of coming down to sea level, but I think that is on quite a tough route. So I would do Wally Hayward. And the thing with qualifying is if you haven't qualified because you have been struggling to qualify, of course you've got to go there and run your hearts out and give yourself an opportunity to get on the start line. So you'll run hard, you will do everything in your power to recover as well as you can in 7 to 10 days, and then just train steadily to Comrades. No heroics, no piling on the kilometers. However, if you haven't qualified just because of circumstance, you've been sick at the wrong time, injured at the wrong time, you had to travel for work at the wrong time, whatever it is, if you've got like a reason that you haven't been able to qualify, but you are absolutely capable of easily running under 5 hours for a Comrades, then that's what you must do. You must qualify as easily as you can. So if you're capable of a 4.5 hour, you run a 4:50. If you're capable of a 4 hour, you run 4.5 hours. If you're capable of 3.5 hours, you run 4 hours. But you qualify as easy as you possibly can so that you can use it as a long training run, and then you can carry on training afterwards, so that you don't lose any valuable training time after the qualifier.
Lindsay, there have been one or two questions about tapering, like the last 3 weeks before Comrades. Obviously, we are going to be talking about that a little bit closer to Comrades Race Day in one of these webinars too. But we also are going to be doing quite a bit on our podcast. So if you haven't subscribed yet to Down, which is the Coach Parry Comrades podcast, you can scan the QR code that's on screen right now, or you can just pop into whichever app you listen to your podcast on, whether it's Apple Podcasts or if you listen on Overcast, whatever, Spotify. We are in all those places. You can go and listen to it, and we put out a podcast every single week, so we'll definitely help you with the taper there, and we also do the video version. So if you haven't subscribed yet to the YouTube channel that you're watching this webinar on, please do hit the subscribe button now so you don't miss any of those updates between now and race day. There's a lot more information coming your way if you haven't listened to those yet. Lindsay, a food question from Michael. I know you were talking a little bit about sort of the meal at halfway, but Michael is asking, what happens if you can't stomach solid food? And obviously, Comrades is a long day. Is it possible to run without eating anything and maybe just doing carbohydrate drinks and gels?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, again, you've got to solve for what is possible for you as an individual. The important thing is that you do get things in. I've got one client that just slowly dissolves glucose, plain glucose, those tiny little glucose pills that you can get in pharmacies. That's it. Just sucks on one little glucose pill after another, puts them under her tongue, lets them dissolve and run down the throat. It's the only anything else more than that just makes her feel sick. So, we've got to figure out through trial and error what we can and what we can't do, what makes our stomach upset, what doesn't make our stomach upset. So yeah, absolutely. Whatever it is, as long as you can get something in, that's the important thing.
All right. Gee, I just looked at the time. Holy smokes, we've been going for nearly 2 hours. Lindsay, I know you've had a crazy, crazy day with the amount of calls and webinars and stuff that you've done today. So I'm going to try and squeeze in 3 questions, if that's okay with you. I always negotiate when we get to this sort of point in time. So one coming in here from Rhodes. Rhodes has asked a couple of great questions tonight. And Rhodes wants to know, if I could focus on just one thing during peak training to get to the finish line strong, what would it be? One thing.
Consistency. That is it. Consistency. You're better off, and Tabu also said it. You rather get to Comrades slightly undercooked. And I'm going to just quickly answer one of the questions that caught my eye because it falls in the same thing. Can you finish Comrades on doing 700 kilometers Jan to race day? The answer is yes. If you've been training consistently, it's more about that consistency than the final number that you land on. So Rhodes, there's one thing you can focus on, it's being consistent. So that means when you're a little bit unsure, it's better to leave out the very high intensity sessions and to moderate your efforts across the week. That is the single most important thing for Comrades. Comrades is it's not about speed. So you've qualified with what you've qualified. If you wanting to run a silver, you've run 3 hours or very close to 3 hours. So you've been able to run 42 Ks at 4:15 to 4:20 per K. And now we want to run 40 seconds a K slower than that, 5 minutes a K. It's your ability to keep going. It's not your ability to run fast. And the same goes for finishing. You know, if you've run under 5 hours for Comrades, you're very close to 7 minutes per K for 42 Ks. It's like an 8:03 or 8:04. We'll know at the end of this month exactly what that is. It's a minute per kilometer slower than your marathon time. So if you can focus on one thing, it's being moderate volume at low intensity and be consistent.
Yeah, Lindsay, if I can just add something, because Tabo mentioned this too, and you say it all the time as well, it's better to be underdone and fresh on Comrades race day. So running slightly less mileage and being in good shape, injury-free, healthy on the start line, as opposed to chasing a big number, being tired, injured, and getting to the start line feeling knackered and just wanting it to be over. And that's exactly what Tabo said as well, is just making sure that you are undertrained, not overtrained. That is the most important. If you have to choose one of the two, undertrained every single day of the week, I think is probably the way to go. Some great feedback here from Hadman. Lindsay, I'm going to pop this on you. Hadman saying, I've been following the Comrades Down podcast and it is brilliant. Hadman, your check is in the post. I didn't ask him to say that, by the way. He says, especially for novices like me or anybody who hasn't run the Down before, highly recommended. Hadman, thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate it. The details are on the screen right now if you haven't checked it out yet. And then Lindsay, I don't know if that was one or two, but I'm going to make sure it was one. This one has got to do with loading before Comrades. Devon is asking, what's the most calories you have to eat before Comrades race day? I'm guessing this falls into the realm of carbo loading the week before. Do we need to carbo load? Is that still a thing in 2025?
No, so in terms of the actual calories, yeah, I think it was the previous webinar. Jump onto the Comrades website and watch our previous webinar, then you'll get like actual numbers and things that you can work on that Nikki de Villiers has put together for you guys, and that is on that webinar. But as in a principle, we are going to run for the fastest person on the day is going to run 5.5 hours, maybe a little bit quicker if we're going to see another record, but call it 5.5 hours. And the slowest person is going to run for 12 hours. So really what that means is that there's no amount of carbo loading that you can do that can actually save you from needing to take in energy along the route. Okay, we know from research that we can train our guts to take in quite a large amount. And what we really want to do at the intensities that the majority of the field are running at, we want to be rocking at least 50 grams of carbs per hour. And you've got to figure out how to get that in. And, you know, stuffing your face with carbohydrates for 6 or 7 days before the race, that's not going to cut it. It's going to help you for the first 2 hours of the race. And you're going to have to take in. So I don't like it. It's a very stressful thing to carbo load properly. And if we combine that with the fact that in the last week we hardly run, so you've been running somewhere between 50 Ks and 150 Ks a week, depending on what your target is. And then in that final week of Comrades, you're going to run like 20 Ks. So our overall load tanks completely. We don't need all the nutrition that we eat. We are human beings, so we are very habitual. So you're going to carry on eating the same amount of food you were sustaining yourself through the entire training program. So you're already going to have excess calories. So you are going to carbo load already. So don't do any extra carbo loading.
Great question. Thank you so much for that. And then Lindsay, last one, and this is like almost a follow-up to the one that you did around Two Oceans and how to predict your Comrades time from your Two Oceans time. Lauren's asking if you can do the same for marathon times. I think that would be super helpful to sort of take your marathon qualifying time and how do we predict what our Comrades finish time will be from that?
Yeah, that's super easy. So if you a very good ballpark figure is literally turning your marathon time into a fraction. So if you ran 4:30, 4.5 times 2.5, that'll give you your finishing time. And I think that that works out to be 9 plus 2, 10.5, like just under 11 hours. So that's but yeah, let's pick an easier one. 3 hours times 2.5 is 7. 4 hours times 2.5 is 10. 5 hours times 2.5 is 12.5. So that's the one that doesn't work so well, but that is the case for people on the fringes of society, as they often have to do things and break the rules. And then and similarly, if you are a 2:30 marathon and faster, just because of the sheer kilometers. So if you are training in Thabo Nkune's squad, then it'll be your marathon time times 2 plus 1 hour. So in other words, if you run a 2.5 hour marathon, that's 5 hours plus 1 gives you 6 hours. But for the vast majority of the field, pretty accurate marathon time times 2.5.
Awesome stuff. Team, thank you so much for joining us on this evening's webinar. It has been absolutely amazing having everyone. Thank you very much to Thabo Nkuna, Nontu Tuko Mashimani, as well as Coach Lindsay Parry for joining us tonight. I'm going to ask you now to participate in the webinar. Please let us know in the chat what you're taking out of this webinar. Give us some feedback of what's the one thing that you've taken out that you're going to implement between now and Comrades Race Day to make sure that you get your medal. Please do let us know in the chat. We'll be reading every single one of them. We love doing these webinars. Make sure you keep checking out the Comrades website to see when the next one is going to be happening. And as I said, make sure that you subscribe to our Comrades Marathon Down podcast so that you can catch up on all the Comrades chat and information you need between now and Comrades Race Day. I know we got tons of questions in this evening. Unfortunately, we can't answer all of them. Otherwise, we would be here all night. And as the coach says, we're coming close to 9 o'clock. We need to be in bed because recovery happens while we're sleeping. We've got runs to happen and to take place tomorrow. So apologies, we never got to your question. If you do have any housekeeping questions around Comrades, you want to know what's happening with the wave starts or the seeding or the race distance, the website to get to is comrades.com. You can also pop the office and an email to info@comrades.com. They are superb at replying to emails, unlike some other races. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're not going to mention any names here, but info@comrades.com is the email address to get that through. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us this evening. Stay safe. Best of luck with your training, and we'll all catch up soon. Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.